Hi, this is Allison with the Sleep Audit. A lot of people buy the wrong mattress and they don't realize it until months later. And in the next several minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how to choose the right mattress the first time and share what actually matters, what you should be looking for, what you should test and examine specifically so that you can make a much better decision right out the gate. And this is coming from somebody who has bought the wrong mattress a time or two and discovered it far too late to do anything about it. I can actually speak on it with a lot more experience being on the other side of it. The very first thing to consider is the position that you sleep in, or positions, plural. I think most of us tend to migrate from one position to another, so you'll want to consider the positions that you sleep in the most. This is one step that you don't want to skip. You really, I think above all things, this is the most important thing to consider when you're mattress shopping. Side sleepers specifically need a lot more support at the hip and shoulders. And so, for the most part, firmness levels for side sleepers, anything from medium soft to medium. And whereas back sleepers need more in terms of spinal alignment. So, medium to medium firm is typically the best firmness level to look for if you're primarily a back sleeper. Stomach sleepers, on the other hand, need more firm support that prevents your hips from sort of sinking down into the mattress. And in my experience, medium firm to firm is going to be the best choice for stomach sleepers. Now, firmness is somewhat subjective. It changes based on your body weight. And so the firmness scale that you might come across a lot of times when you're mattress shopping might be a scale from 1 to 8 or 1 to 10, something along those lines. And I would say anything that is under a 3 or 4 is going to be considered soft. Anything that is from 5 to 6 or 5 to 7 is going to be medium. Anything higher than that is going to be firm. And one of the most common mistakes is thinking that the more firm a mattress is, the more support there's going to be. And that can be true sometimes, but a lot of times the firmer the mattress, the more pressure point pain that it can cause. So just because a mattress is really firm doesn't mean it's going to be more supportive. And as far as considering your weight, this is why I think it is kind of important to try mattresses out in store if you can, or make sure that you're selecting a mattress that has a trial period with a free return. If you're under 150 pounds, a mattress is going to feel more firm. If you're over 200 pounds, a mattress is going to feel more softer. So weight is a factor to a degree as far as how firm or soft a mattress actually feels. And this is another thing to consider, especially if you need a firmer mattress or you need a softer mattress. So again, firmness is going to be somewhat subjective based on your body weight. Beyond thinking about your sleeping position, you're going to want to consider the mattress materials too, because they serve different purposes. They're not created equally. And even if the firmness levels between different mattresses made from different materials is the same, they're not necessarily going to work the same. Now, memory foam can be fantastic for pressure relief, and it's great for side sleepers, but most traditional memory foams do trap heat. So especially if you're a hot sleeper, memory foam is probably going to be one of the worst materials that you can use unless that foam is infused with something that's designed to offer better cooling or airflow. Now, hybrid mattresses, hybrid is a term that you've probably come across quite a bit in your own mattress search, and these use a combination of foam towards the top and then coils underneath for more support. And that provides better airflow, so you can have that foam on the top, but you're not going to overheat in it. And coils are really supportive. I know you might think that that's made purely of foam is going to be more supportive. I find that hybrid mattresses are a lot more supportive and comfortable because you've got your foam layers on top and then you have your coil layers underneath, and it's sort of the best of both worlds. Now, the biggest drawback to hybrid mattresses is that they do tend to have a higher price point. That said, depending on your budget, I really do think that they're worth it. Latex is another option, and latex foam especially is really durable and it is naturally cooling. So if you're looking at memory foam mattresses specifically, but you're also a hot sleeper, latex might be the best option because you get that memory foam support, but you have the cooling effects of the latex. Now, some of the drawbacks to latex mattresses: they are more expensive, and they do have a different feel compared to regular memory foam. In my experience, there's a little more bounce with latex compared to straight up memory foam like a Tempur-Pedic. Finally, inner spring mattresses tend to be firmer but also bouncier, and they have thinner comfort layers as well. So an inner spring mattress might have a foam layer or even a pillow top, but it's not really considered a hybrid unless it has a considerable amount of foam or other comfort layers included. I'm sure if you're anywhere around my age, you're probably really familiar with how inner spring mattresses feel, because back in the olden days, those were everywhere, and that was long before hybrids and things like that ever came along. So if you remember the bounce, that's what you get with an inner spring mattress. They really haven't changed all that much over the many decades they've been around. And two, having fewer layers, inner spring mattresses are probably the worst at motion isolation. So especially if you sleep with a partner and they're rolling over, you're rolling over, an inner spring mattress really doesn't minimize that at all. They're going to feel when you move, and if that isn't something that bothers you, an inner spring mattress can be fine. Now, inner spring mattresses do tend to be less expensive compared to memory foam or hybrids. So they can have a much lower price point depending on the brand and the type, because mattresses that are hybrids or even memory foam have more complex materials. Cooling and temperature are another thing to consider, mostly if you tend to sleep warm or hot. Now, if you don't have any issue with temperature regulation when you're sleeping, you might be able to just skip this section altogether. It might not be completely relevant to you. But if you're a hot sleeper, definitely pay attention. Most cooling mattresses are marketing to a degree. There are some things that actually do help to keep you cooler at night, and those are going to include coils for airflow, which you'll find in hybrid mattresses, phase change materials or other materials that are designed to either not absorb body heat or potentially even pull body heat away from you when you're laying on them. And of course, breathable covers. Anything that promotes better airflow, more breathability, that's going to help the mattress to avoid trapping your body heat, so you're not just laying in a big old puddle of your own body heat. What doesn't matter quite so much to a degree is gel memory foam. There is a minimal impact with that. So if you have a memory foam mattress that is fully gel memory foam, there's not going to be as much airflow as there would be with a hybrid mattress that has coils underneath. And I think if you sleep hot, especially prioritizing a hybrid construction first is going to benefit you the most. So you'll want to consider the construction and not just gimmicks or market speak. And that's why it really helps to do your research whenever you're looking at any mattress. Look at the reviews, look at real first-person reviews to get insights from actual hot sleepers to see how something works or doesn't work. Most cooling mattresses will not actively cool, meaning that they won't physically change the surface temperature of the mattress unless there is some technology that allows them to do so. So if you're looking for a cooling mattress, a regular cooling mattress that has no tech involved will just help to wick your body heat away from you. Mattresses that have active cooling, or even like mattress covers that offer active cooling, things like Chili Pad, 8 Sleep, even a bed jet that is like a fan that you put at the foot of your bed. Something like that can control the surface temperature, but most mattresses that just have regular mattress construction with no technology, they're not going to physically change the temperature of the surface of the mattress the way that some of those other pieces of technology might. The next thing that you're going to want to consider are the trial periods, the returns, and warranties. Now, for a trial period, I would say look for at least 90 nights, if not up to 365. A mattress will usually take a minimum of 30 days to fully break in. And so you want to make sure that your sleep trial accommodates enough time to actually test and make sure that a mattress is the right fit for you. And although you can try mattresses in the store, you're usually laying on them for a matter of minutes, not hours. And that can make a really big difference in as far as knowing whether or not a mattress is really going to work well for you. And along those same lines, beyond the trial period, I find that free returns are non-negotiable. The ability to return a mattress within the trial period, if it's not working with you, that should be standard. And if it isn't, I would seek mattress brands that do offer that. Because again, you might pick the right mattress right out the gate, and that's wonderful. But that isn't always the case. So being able to return it for free if it doesn't work out, I find that to be incredibly important. So wherever you buy a mattress from, even if you've done all the research in the world, you've tested it in the store, you're pretty sure it's going to be the right one, make sure there's a free return just in case you need it. And I think that the trial period matters a lot more than the warranty for that reason. That said, you'll want to look for a good warranty. 10 to 15 years might be standard, really depends. I would say a minimum warranty of 5 years, but the more expensive the bed, as far as I'm concerned, the longer the warranty should be. And you will want to make sure that you adhere to anything that you need to for the warranty. Now, some mattresses, depending on where you buy, might include covers that come with them that you need to use. I know like Wayfair does that a lot, where like you'll buy a mattress and there'll be a cover with it that's part of the warranty, and you have to be using that in order to use the warranty later on if you need to. So make sure that you look at the fine print with the warranty, no matter how long it is. I would say with a warranty, you should get a minimum of 5 years and as much as 10 to 15, or even lifetime, depending on the brand. Warranties can be very variable. They can be very variable, but it's true. So definitely consider the warranty. But even before that, consider the trial period, because I think that matters more than anything. Another thing that you should consider is how to read reviews. Now, most mattress reviews are misleading, and they don't intentionally mean to be. But I think the biggest thing to consider is that comfort is really subjective. So one person's firm is going to be another person's soft. And that's something that really having some degree of context as far as a person's body weight, which, to be fair, most of us aren't going to just openly share that on the internet. I know I am not. So that's sort of a your mileage may vary kind of a thing. But having an idea of how similar that reviewer is to you as far as the positions that they sleep in, the particular mattress needs that they were looking for, like if they're a side sleeper or a back sleeper or a stomach sleeper. That kind of makes the comfort a little less subjective to a degree, but that's definitely a thing to consider whenever you're reading reviews. Another issue with mattress reviews is that a lot of them are written or filmed in the first few weeks of use, in some cases even the first few days, and that's before the mattress has really been broken in. So ideally, if you can find reviews from people that have been using a particular mattress for months, that's going to be a much more accurate representation of how the mattress actually performs, what the comfort level is, and all of that, versus something that, somebody just got this mattress the other day and they're reviewing it. I would say a minimum of sleeping on it for 30 days, ideally 3 to 6 months is better, just because by that point, the mattress has been broken in a bit, and the reviewer's insights are going to be more accurate in terms of how that mattress is going to perform months down the line after it's been broken in. Another thing to watch for is context or a lack of it. Ideally, if there's a mention of sleep position at the very least and preferences, those are going to give you a better idea of if that particular mattress is going to be right for you, right for the positions that you sleep in or the things that you need. Like if you're a side sleeper and you need pressure relief at the shoulder and hip, does this review talk about that? Does it provide insight for somebody that shares your sleep needs? And again, mention of weight can be variable depending on the reviewer. I know it's not really all that common a lot of the time for people to talk about that. So, you might get lucky and find reviews that discuss that specifically, but at the very least, the sleep position and the preferences are what you want to look for. And really what this comes down to is looking for reviewers who match you, not the average rating. Now, how do we tie all of this together? So the framework that you'll want to kind of follow when you're making a decision on which mattress to try or buy, you'll want to identify your sleep position, or positions, plural, especially if you share a bed with someone. You'll want to examine the firmness range and consider that as part of your decision making. And I think hybrid mattresses tend to be the most universally fitting, especially for couples, unless you have a very specific need. So the construction and the materials, definitely something to consider. And like I said earlier, if you're a hot sleeper, I would avoid memory foam. I think hybrids are the much better option because they have the airflow that's just going to help to keep you from overheating at night. You'll also want to filter mattresses by the trial and the return policy, as well as the warranty. But the trial and the returns, I think, are the biggest pieces because you want to be able to try that at home for at least 90 days, 3 months or so, and as long as a year if you need to. But having free returns, also very important. Finally, you'll want to ignore all the hype and just focus on fit. Look at the reviews that are going to closely match what you're looking for, what you need, and your specific situation. And if you're still unsure, it doesn't hurt to go out to a local mattress store to test some in person, at least just to check them out, look at the construction, see how they feel when you're laying down in them. And again, that 5 or 10 minutes that you're laying in a bed in a mattress store gives you a sense of the mattress, but it doesn't paint the whole picture the way that a in-home trial will. But I still find that can be helpful, especially when you're in the early research stage. And I know going to mattress stores can kind of suck sometimes when you have like salesmen coming after you, like, can I help you? Like, no, I'm just looking. But it's like, I don't like that either. So I totally get that. But it can be helpful to see them in person at the very least. And if you're shopping completely online, tools like the Helix Sleep quiz can be really helpful for narrowing down options based on your body type, your sleep style. But it's also important to understand all of the fundamentals that I've already talked about, because those come first above all. But sleep quizzes online can help to a degree, for sure. Now, I do have some final recommendations based on sleepers, just to kind of give you rough general advice. Most people are going to do well with medium or medium firm hybrid beds, something like the Helix Midnight Luxe or the Helix Midnight series, period. Even the Brooklyn Bedding Aurora Luxe, that's another great option. Medium firm hybrid, comfortable, especially for partners. Side sleepers tend to do best with medium soft to medium firm with pressure relief. Back and stomach sleepers will do better with medium firm to firm hybrids. Hot sleepers are going to do best with hybrids that use breathable materials with optional cooling layers. Some hybrids will offer different like cooling materials on the top or different cooling layers. Regardless of that, hybrids, I think, perform the best for hot sleepers because they promote better airflow, regardless of the materials that are actually used in the foams. And if you're a hot sleeper, fully dense memory foam, I think, is going to be the worst material to go with unless you're using a system like an add-on that actively cools, something like an 8 Sleep or a Chili Pad, something along those lines that physically cools the surface of your mattress. Then a memory foam might be just fine, but memory foam by itself is likely going to make you too hot. Hopefully at this point you've got a much better idea of what types of mattresses might fit your needs the best. And I think if you follow this framework, you're going to avoid 90% of mattress purchase mistakes, especially if you make sure to get a mattress that has a nice long trial and free returns. I think that's the biggest thing of everything. And really focusing on your sleep position, the firmness that you need to support that position, and also any particular pressure relief needs you might have, and then considering the materials. Those are like the 3 biggest things to making the best decision, because there is no universal perfect bed for everyone. We're not all Princess and the Pea or Goldilocks, but there isn't a single bed in the world that is going to be perfect for everyone. And it does take a little bit of research. It might take some trial and error, but if you have the free returns, the trial part doesn't turn into an error. But I think it's important to take your time, do your research, make sure you understand what any particular mattress offers before you pull the trigger on it or make any decision. And it might take a little time, but you will find the right mattress. And with any luck, sooner rather than later.